Hello and welcome to Refuse. As always, I'm Plume Noir, and yesterday was Free Comic Book Day. Um, I picked up a couple. I only picked up three. I picked up that Catwoman Under the Moon because it's the first chapter of that story, which sounded kind of interesting. The um, uh, teen version of Catwoman. Um, of course, I picked up the Avengers one, and I also picked up Punchline, the Antarctic Press one. Um, yeah, I'll be honest, I've been really meaning to check out more AP stuff. Um, but I haven't had a chance to look at them because I'm actually behind on a lot of my books. Um, as you know, I mentioned what was it, Wednesday, when I did Female Furies, which kind of put me off for a while. I just it was so bad. I looked at my stack, like I don't even want to touch anything. And so I mentioned I had DCeased, which I thought was going to be a summer event. I don't know why. Um, I this book kind of like fell through the cracks on me. Yeah, I heard it announced and read about it a couple months ago. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, DCeased, ha ha ha. Um, I wish I would have gotten. I think there was an alternate cover with like Joker and Robin with the balloon. It says something like everyone will die or something like that. Um, so what is this book? If I had to describe this book's elevator pitch, it would be Marvel Zombies meets Final Crisis meets 28 Days Later. It's really how I would describe it. When I picked up this book, I was like, oh, it's supposed to be a zombie book. Didn't we just have Blackest Night? I love Blackest Night. And then I thought about it, and Blackest Night was 10 years ago already. Where does the time go? So yeah, this is written by Tom Taylor, whom I didn't read his all new Wolverine. I think I picked up a couple issues, but I didn't really follow it. But I did follow his run on Injustice, the comic book that was a prequel lead into the game. And that was good. I really, not all the time, but overall, I thought it was really good. And the Injustice Annual, the one with Plastic Man, is probably the best Plastic Man we've had in 10 years. I seriously, if you can think of a better portrayal of Plastic Man in the past 10 years, especially since Rebirth, okay, maybe go back to Rebirth. But yeah, I can't think of a time in 10 years that Plastic Man was so awesome. So, what does he do with this? I mean, honestly, this is a first issue setup. Um, is this a limited series? I don't even know. Or is this an ongoing? That shows how little. I don't like to read too much about stuff that's coming out. I don't want to spoil it for me, and I don't want to spoil it for myself, and so I like to go in surprised. And so sometimes I'll miss details if they don't say it's a limited series, like right on the cover or anything. Oh, yeah, it does. One of six. It's just in little tiny type there. Um, so okay, we got a six-issue series. It takes place in an alternate universe. Um, like I said, I thought this was going to be the summer event, and with everything going on, so I stand corrected on that. I don't know how I misinterpreted that. So, what does this book hold? I mean, it's not bad. I mean, um, I'm kind of mixed on it because it's a zombie story. And like I said, it's Final Crisis meets Marvel Zombies meets 28 Days Later. Um, and so the thing about zombie apocalypses is that the beginning is not really the interesting part. It's almost a MacGuffin. You know, sure, an analogy is the guy who kills Batman's parents. Sometimes it's Joe Chill, sometimes it's some random mugger. That's the important part. The not important part is what was he doing in the alleyway in the first place? How did he get there? Where was he going? That's really not important. You can show that in a few things, but the important part is that he kills Bruce Wayne's parents. So the analogy I'm saying here is this issue is why Joe Chill was in the alleyway. But it could have been done a lot worse, and it's an interesting um, interesting take on it. Um, so yeah, I'm just going to pop in because what we have here is, starts with Dark Side. We get a lot of text here saying, um, my mother used to tell me there was no such thing as monsters. There was nothing hiding in the dark, nothing to jump out of the shadows. I wish I could have told my child the same thing. But by the time I was grown, I'd seen too many monsters. I knew they were real. So it's not really revealed who's doing this um, narration. Um, the person you do think it is, it won't. It can't be. Probably not. It's an alternate universe, so all bets are off. So basically, there's been a week-long invasion by Darkseid on Earth, and you know we have Superman and pretty much the whole Justice League here, and Superman tells them, "You will leave Earth now." It was perhaps the League's finest hour. It was their last together, and hmm, looks like Black Arrow there. um, So, an interesting thing here is, Diana has her lasso of truth around Darkseid's neck. You will not return to our world. Say it. The lasso of truth compels you. Diana, I don't think the lasso works that way. Um, because it compels people to tell the truth. But once it's off, can't they just change their mind? He could say at that moment, if he truly believes he's not going to go to Earth, or return to Earth, then when she takes it off, can't he just later on just say, "Oh, maybe I'll go to Earth anyway"? Um, I don't think it could really change their mind, but he just has to not answer if he plans to come back, right? So, and even Green Arrow points out that, yeah, it'd probably be easier for him to speak if Superman hadn't just broken his mouth, because there's a line that Superman breaks a god's jaw. But Darkseid just takes off the lasso and says that he's not coming back because, this whole week-long war, he got what he came for. And he boom tubes the heck out of there. So, yeah, I haven't even picked it. I picked this up. I haven't read it yet. Let's come back to that. So, of course, there's the whole, I thought that was going to be really well, right up until that last ominous sentence. You know, I do like some of Tom Taylor's writing. Um, he could do some of these sarcastic characters pretty well. So we find out, shock, that Cyborg's not answering, and of course, Batman has bugged him. And here's how you know it's an alternate universe, because if you look, the Flash, his costume is different. It's always the Flash. In this one, he has, like, lightning bolts over the shoulders. There's another shot of it, yeah, right over here, which makes it looks like he's just wearing a giant Flash medallion, hanging over his shoulders, like he won the Flash prize. So yeah, of course we have Flash yelling, "So you secretly hacked our friend? Wait, are you tracking any of us? Did you put a tracker on Superman?" And again, Green Arrow speaking truth to power. Anyone else concerned about that slight pause there? So anyway, Cyborg's missing. He's not in the solar system because he's on Apocalypse, being tortured by DCeased. And Cyborg gets some funny lines in here. It turns out that Darkseid has come to Earth for half of the anti-life equation. Darkseid has one half, and somehow Cyborg has the other half. Not sure, but I mean, I guess it's the MacGuffin. It's the origin of the story I was talking about. Um, so, he's being snarky to them, to DCeased, and it's being explained to him why Darkseid came to Earth, and yeah, when he finds out that the other half of the anti-life equation is in him. Smug smirk here. Cyborg says, were you just waiting in the corridor to make a good entrance?" And Darkseid, being awesome Darkseid, DCeased, remove his tongue. And that's what DCeased does. So yeah, they run into a problem that since Cyborg has half the anti-life equation in him. They can't just kill him or they'll lose that half. So they need to kind of put him in a between state, I guess. So Darkseid summons Death, which of course is the Black Racer, which is looking pretty badass in this issue. And so what Darkseid does, I mean, I know Darkseid's arrogant and all, but does he ever think plans through? He grabs the Black Racer, has DCeased siphon out with a giant syringe a piece of Death, and then infuses it with Cyborg, which you can see they're going with the Grant Morrison version of the anti-life equation, where it is the mathematical formula. And so by taking the Black Racer, taking a piece of him, mixing it with the anti-life equation that's in Cyborg, ends up changing it and corrupting it. Which, when it does, you can see Darkseid start tearing at his head. Saying that it's, my head, it's in. And of course, the Black Racer, it is time for a god to die. And so, Darkseid is now going nuts, just that kind of rage. Think 28 days later, and puts his hand through the Black Racer. And then, his rage cannot be contained, the anti-life equations in his head. He jumps into Apocalypse itself, burrows down through the planet, and, decides, no, Darkseid is. But no, Darkseid was. And he destroys Apocalypse. But somehow, between this time, Cyborg gets boom-tubed back to Earth. And I'm only going to show this one part here. Talk about how he's going to trying to firewall himself from the rest of the internet, so we even see when he lands. He's got the wireless signal. He's automatically connected to the Earth. And now he's spreading the anti-life equation through everyone's mobile devices, through the internet. Basically, again, Final Crisis. There is a line in here at some point where they say that, Cyborg, told them what happened. So we know Cyborg's going to live long enough to give everyone the backstory on this. But yeah, I'm going to stop there because it's a zombie story. Not that it's really gory or anything. Don't expect that there is some blood. But now it's affected 6 million people, just right off the bat. It's probably one of the fastest zombie plagues ever. So the anti-life equation has been corrupted with the essence of the Black Racer, and you take Death and put it into that. I don't know how Darkseid thought this was a good idea, in order to keep the host alive and everything. Because they knew it wasn't going to torture it out of them. So yeah, again, that's pretty much the MacGuffin of how it starts. And then we see the fallout. It goes to Superman and Batman. And then the next 5 issues will probably be how the world goes to hell. A lot like Marvel Zombies, which didn't really have a happy ending. It was, I could see that being the case with this. And 2 things. One, I feel like this is a little bit too late. And I say this as someone that likes The Walking Dead. Not the TV show. I like the comic. As well as the Telltale games. I like those a lot too. A shame we probably won't be getting any more. They said we might. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything on that. The second thing is that I'm worried because Marvel really milked the Marvel Zombies concept. The first series, well, actually, you go back to the Ultimate Fantastic Four where they first appeared, was pretty good. Yeah, and then, the Marvel Zombies limited series itself was pretty good. It's Robert Kirkman, of course, zombies. And then the series started to get a little bad after that. Marvel Zombies 2, Marvel Zombies The Return was actually not too bad. Because it was trying to put the whole thing to rest. But anyway, long story short, I feel this is a little late to be doing this story. But then again, had it been too close to Marvel Zombies, it would have been a follow the leader situation. Has it really been long enough, you know, for this to have happened, to do this after so soon after Marvel Zombies? Don't know what I was just doing with my hand there. I was trying to do so soon and so soon at the same time. Yeah, I'm really not sure. This seemed to come out of nowhere. Had a few articles about it, and then here it is. It's a zombie story. Um, so yeah, I really gotta wait till the next issue. Tom Taylor does a good job with the characters. I will say that all the characters felt on. They all had different voices. And yeah, it's a perfectly fine. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with a. I'm somewhere between 1 and 2 o'clock. It's somewhere right about there. Um, because I liked it. I enjoyed it. I enjoy a good zombie story. It's an interesting take. Like I said, it's Marvel Zombies Final Crisis 28 days later, because the way the zombies behave, which I didn't really show because I gotta leave it. They act more like the infected in 28 days later rather than zombies. But somehow the infection is also spread through bites. So it's a little bit of a stretch on that. Not just being exposed to the equation, hearing it, seeing it on TV. It looks like it is even transferred via bites. Maybe that'll be cleared up in the next issue that that's not the case. Kind of like how in Final Crisis, they shut off, Oracle shuts off the internet and, protects the people who have not been exposed yet from becoming mindless, drones, not zombies. But anyway, yeah, I enjoyed it. And I can see this getting really good. So, yeah, I'm going to give it around a 130. It's not perfect. I think the origin could have been done a little bit quicker because it's a zombie story. We want to see what happens to the world. And I get the feeling that as an alternate universe, there's going to be a high death count just for the sake of a high death count. Because remember, this is Tom Taylor who did Injustice. And basically anyone who wasn't in the game, was was fodder to be killed off. So we might have a similar situation here where he's not held by the continuity of Injustice to keep certain people alive because they're in the game. All bets are off. And I also want to see, yeah, it's Justice League's finest hour. I want to see the villains. I want to see what happens to them. Because I like seeing when the villains have to band together because, yeah, the world's going to hell, but it's our world too. We live here. So hopefully we will see some of that. It's a great opportunity to see the Rogues, for example, the Flash's Rogues Gallery. I love seeing them, acting as kind of heroes. So anyway, I've talked actually a lot longer on this than I thought I would. So as always, thanks for watching. I need to go cut the grass. It's been like 2 days of no rain here. I mean, it's been crazy. It's almost time for things to dry out. We've just had so much rain lately. It's another week of rain coming, so I need to get out and cut the grass while I still can. So, as always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.